Green and Blue is a company that have been making wildlife habitat for nearly 15 years now. Primarily we try to create habitat that get built into the construction industry, so into new build developments and retrofitted into any construction project. We've got a range of different products, from providing habitat for solitary bees, house sparrows, all manner of bats and our returning swifts that come back to the UK each year. Habitat loss and changes to our farming practices are held as the sort of main reasons why we're losing so many species, and therefore so many more species are added to the red list each year in terms of huge declines in numbers. So those huge declines in numbers really need a larger scale commitment, and I think we feel as a company the best way to do that is via a larger organisation. The construction industry has got such potential to do great things in terms of habitat creation, better biodiversity, and begin to redress a lot of the problems that the construction industry has helped to create through building on greenfield sites and such. The uptake has been really exciting. I think what we find is a lot of small and medium-sized developers are really keen. They understand that in relative terms these are very inexpensive solutions that can provide great change. We appreciate that there is a degree of greenwashing in all of this, but in essence we're here because we fully believe in what we're doing. We see the problems, we work with experts to ensure that the products that we create are the very best they can be. What we also do, which we're incredibly proud of, we manufacture everything here in the UK. We're based in Cornwall, where we have the Cornish china clay industry, which is, I think, the second biggest china clay industry anywhere on the planet. It generates a huge amount of waste material, or granite aggregates. The finer ends of those aggregates really are graded as a waste material. So we've pioneered a way of creating a concrete mix that just uses those waste materials. So each of the products that we have here are essentially 75% waste material, which we're incredibly proud of. We work with a number of different developers who have been installing these products, and an awful lot of them have sort of come back and said, well, for what they cost, we're going to spend more on door hinges. This is a no-brainer for us as a development company. We'll be looking to put these on each development that we make. What we're embarking on is probably the largest citizen science project of its type. Later this year, we hope to launch essentially a project that looks to monitor each of these products that we sell. So each product will be accompanied by something that describes the project, what we're trying to set out to do, and how your particular product can be part of this larger citizen science project. We work with an awful lot of scientists, but the data simply isn't there in terms of how beneficial these things are. Now, we only want to be involved with something if it's genuinely doing good. So the only way we're going to do that is if we embark on something like this ourselves, where we can be the commercial part of a very small commercial part of a scientific project that looks to record as much data as possible. I think that's the only way we're going to understand if mitigation solutions like these and other things are actually working. This sort of stuff is really in its infancy in real terms. I think we need larger entities, we need large developers, we need everyone to just do this as a matter of course. Ideally, this would be legislation to say, well, look, if you're building, you need to consider X, Y, and Z, and what are your habitat and what are your ecology plans. So I think genuinely as we go forward, this has to go up the agenda in terms of how we build, why we build, and what are we including for our wildlife. In my funny little design world, I see roof tiles that do other things. I see walls that are living, they are habitat for all manner of things. I see roadways and garden spaces that really should be brought alive. I think what we see as the bigger challenge is education. So Green and Blue 2 years ago set it upon ourselves to start something called Solitary Bee Awareness Week, which is very specific about our solitary bees, but they are a fantastic species of bee. They're the bulk of our pollinating force, yet majority of people know nothing about them. Now we're finding that with all of the various products that we make, firstly we have to tell someone what a swift is and what a pipistralis bat is and what a solitary bee is before we can begin to say, and this is a way to try and help them. I think what we realise is the next generation are absolutely critical in terms of understanding the importance of this. So as a small company, we try to reach out to as many schools as we possibly can as part of an education program to talk about our wildlife, our habitat, and how we should be coexisting with them. We're very passionate about solitary bees. They are a fantastic species that just majority of people know of bumblebees and they know of hiving honeybees. They don't appreciate that there are over 250 different species of solitary bee, and they are our largest pollinating bee force. So we're particularly passionate about solitary bees. Their life cycle is truly magnificent. The female, once fertilized, will spend the remaining part of the summer filling a single cell like this with an egg. She will fly out, collect nectar and pollen to provision for that egg when it emerges. She'll then build a wall, a substrate between it and the next egg. She'll repeat that process again and again and again. It's a wonderful process. By the end of the summer, her life she's spent, but what she's done is she's ensured that her genes are carried forward to the following year, and that's how we keep passing the genes forward for these wonderful creatures. So I think the life cycle of our solitary bees is truly magnificent. It really is. The bee brick is designed, in essence, to provide solitary bees, a number of solitary bees with suitable nesting spaces. When those young leave the following year, a number of them will look to return to as close to where they emerged as possible. So it's a lovely life cycle that just continues forward and forward and forward.